Do you think Ethereals will be a playable class in when Midnight comes? Maybe Ethereal Nethermancer.
Class?
Well, probably a race, but
listen,
probably
man, I'm down for anything. So I feel Evokers, for me, were a disappointment because of the aesthetics. This is, and I still like. I so love the concept of augmentation. That's something I always dreamt about as a
gameplay. They're so good. Though.
Yeah, I cannot play. I cannot look at that. So whatever they could bring up and actually, have something new and exciting without causing a balancing nightmare, which it will, I'm all down for it. And it would make a whole lot of sense to have Ethereals as classes. I don't know.
And they're so cool.
However, it's kind of a limited spectrum of possibilities because you already have Shadow Priest, which englobes a lot of that, voidy thing. I don't know what they could come up with.
Wait, but Ethereals wouldn't be a class; it would be a race. Ethereals is a race of people.
He meant
no, he said Ethereal Nethermancer. I don't know what a Nethermancer is.
Well, basically
an arcane shadow priest.
Who knows? So that's a class. What he's referring to. I can see them as well in terms of like race, man. I mean, we were waiting for ogres at some point back in the day.
Still
we wanted Naga, Vrykul. So there's a plethora of...
Like, why would you go for this when you don't go for the...
So listen, because they diluted so much on what certain races can be and not be, I don't really care anymore about races that much. If they look cool, I'm fine. I care a lot more if they actually put in some thought for new classes. Yes, that would be... For me, at this point, it would be of a much bigger interest than races. Now, again, Ethereals would make a lot of sense for what's happening now and what will probably happen in Midnight. I don't know how they could make it unique and different from what Shadow Priest already has, because it's the same discussion with Necromancer and DKs. Because we talked a lot about having a Lich class or a Necromancer class, but you kind of have that fantasy in Unholy Dead Knight and Frost Decay as well. So
they've incorporated Lich things into Frost Mage, so it's kind of hard.
Yeah, it's hard because they didn't went the traditional D&D route. They kind of like went on their own thing with these classes and kind of encapsulated.
That's the problem, because they feel that they keep trying to put D&D concepts into the game, and I don't feel like they make sense anymore. Like that.
So at the basis, sure, it's D&D, but you cannot compare a Warcraft mage with a D&D wizard. There's big differences.
Oh yeah, no.
So this is what I'm saying. You have a Death Knight, which basically has frost magic, has death magic, has undead things going for it. Yeah. These are things that could basically be transformed into 3 separate specs.
Yeah.
Like, a Lichborn, a Necromancer, blah blah. What I think, a lot of people ask for this. I was never sold on the idea of a Bard class in WoW. Never was sold. I saw Bard classes in other MMOs. The whole thing about singing is nice, but I don't really feel it has its appliance to World of Warcraft too much. However, what was the BFA speculated ones when
Tinker?
The Tinker, yes.
Yeah, that's a different one.
That would be really cool.
So cool.
Now, I don't know how would that tie in with any of the expansion lore.
I don't know if it has to. It doesn't have.
They always had a lore tied to it.
You would think so, because that was Draktirs, but how good does the Draktirs do for...
No, but they tied them to the story. Come on, like DKs were tied to the story,
sure.
Demon Hunters were tied to the story.
But then you have so many cool classes that they could bring into all that they will never bring, because we're not going to make a Tinker-themed expansion. When you have the stakes of the cosmos and the void and the light, you're not going to make a stakes of like who engineers a bigger robot, right? So there would have to be like something like a side thing. Maybe not an expansion feature, but a side thing. But
ethereal class would make sense. I mean, that would make sense thematically, expansion-wise.
I don't know how an ethereal class would be. It's like saying
hard.
Like an orc class. Ethereals is a race of people.
The Etheromancer or whatever, the Nethermancer. Yeah. So that again, I would love to see that, but I cannot wrap my head around how they would differentiate it from Shadow Priest.
Here's what I think they should do. This is a hot take, but the Nethermancer and things like that should not be separate specs. They should be not subclasses, but different versions of the current specs that we have. I think 30, like, and this is speaking for somebody who does, you know, tier lists, and we research all of the specs, and
we see the balance.
It's a lot of specs right now. Think about it this way: you're complaining about not having a spot in raids with your class because your class doesn't bring anything new. Where do you think we'll be in 5 to 10 years if we have like 3 new specs or 6 new specs? Where are you gonna fit all of those? It's just a little bit too much. However, you could have a 4th spec for mage, you could have a 4th spec for priest, or something like that, that, you know, ties in more concepts of this, that can, you know, expand the identity of a class, because there's already just too much. What even is an evoker? It's basically a mage, but you want it to be a dragon.
Yeah, but see, I agree with that, but that is coming more from a keep the balance tight, so the big raiders and the big key pushers are not too upset. If you think about fun, and if you think about the average Joe, I mean, wouldn't you be excited for like the next expansion to announce another brand new spec for every existing class?
Every existing class?
Yes.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes, I mean,
actually, it's not. It's 13. It's 13 new specs.
It's all okay. Let's make it all DPS. Fine, whatever. But that would be exciting as fuck. And people who played the game back in the day.
That's what I said.
Exciting, but you mentioned the balance situation and the fact that you're not going to get invited to.
No, as in new classes, new ground up classes.
It's always exciting. So as much as we think about how would the future look like in a couple of years if we keep adding on classes and specs, dude, you cannot not realize it's so much fun. Like trying out a new class.
It would change the feel, because we're already talking about we're at the precipice of changing the way progression works for a while, where we're going to we have warbands. Everything is going to be account wide for sure. Maybe not at the start of the War Within, but it's there
slowly but surely.
Because more and more people play more and more alts. WoW has shifted from the classic version of just level this character and bringing it to be the Beast of Azeroth, to just have everything and play everything that you want. Just have it more fun with fewer restrictions. It's clearly that WoW is going into that direction. So more classes, more specs definitely make more sense in a world where everything is account wide, where you can unlock plate transmogs with your mage, so you don't have to worry about all of that stuff. Like, restrictions are getting lifted more and more, probably to make room for things like this, because I am still waiting for my Tinker. I want to be a robot tank.
Tinker is definitely something awesome. Don't get me wrong. I just feel they always want to link it somehow with the team.